All right, it is Sunday, the weekend of April 28th, and welcome to the Trader Hub Weekly Market Review. Taking a look at the price action of the indexes last week, starting with the NQ. We had kind of a huge dump that we talked about last week, and we started this week to start regaining. They had ended up putting in early on Monday's session a nice little attempt to move lower that got bought up, ended up kind of the start of the reversal, kind of regaining above this 17,373 level. So kind of closing back in this range and then making a nice higher low look that sent us up into Tuesday, Wednesday. So the thing to kind of pay attention here is this is closes above and kind of a regain of the failure that sent us down to that low. Then we want to look for a higher low after that, and that's exactly what we got on Thursday into Friday. I think particularly the major good look here is that into Friday we actually ended up holding the high of the range of the previous high. So this is nice for a continuation gain. At this point, what I think is likely is actually this prediction I did in the intro week after this ended up playing out already. Looks like we're going to end up pushing back higher towards 18,000s. I want to see this level, sort of 17,950. I want to see that area that attempted to move back up and failed to send us down. I want to see that area regained in this sort of box area in order to move higher. And then if we look at the daily, what I want to see here is I want to see a regain of this major failure level at 18,071 that we talked about previously. I want to see that gained. And I want to see that'd be a nice stair-stepping move for higher up to 18,291, which kind of was the definitive line that we finally lost that sent us down below after attempting to hold it a few times. I think if we can regain this level, we can start talking about regaining the uptrend and moving back to all-time high. I do think at any of the points that I just mentioned before then, we could see a potential failure and another leg down on the higher time frame. That is absolutely still within the realm of possibility, particularly at this major level 18,070. I think there's just a lot of price interaction at that level. That seems to be the major level on the chart that is probably most likely to cause that if that happens. I'm not saying that has to happen that way, but definitely pay attention to that level. So I think the important thing here is, we still have lost the uptrend technically, but we can regain it if we push back above this level. And that's something that I want to see. I think we're going to have somewhat of a volatile week, either moving up through these levels or rejecting and kind of making some big moves. What do you think?
This week I want to see closes above 18,070. I think that would be a really great look moving into gaining 18,000, 300-ish that you were talking about there. And I definitely agree with your level that this was the major one that produced the leg down. So it's the one that needs to be gained before we can start talking about
moving back to the highs, yeah.
But more locally, we want to gain these lows and get up above them and close, and then we can get to 18.3. So we could do both of those this week, or
or none
either
of them. We can go sideways. It could be, but those are kind of the looks that we want to see. I think it could be something like, if these were the areas that attempted to come back, I would see once this sort of plays out, if we get that, we could kind of come back to retest down here and continue pushing up. We want to see closes above, and then either a hold and move back higher, or coming back down here for a retest of the same high that we then gained after trying, and then moving up here. That's kind of what I'm looking for if we're going to end up seeing back up here. You see anything else?
Yeah, we want to continue stair stepping like we've got here in these last the last week, honestly.
Yeah. Looking at the S&P, it's not really going to look too different. Like if 18,070 on NQ is kind of around here, 5,200 even you could call it on the S&P futures. So it's kind of the same look. We're kind of stair stepping back until we regain that level. That's not even the level that we really need to regain technically to recapture the uptrend. We need to kind of regain this area that failed to send us down through it. So really kind of more 5,250. But the first thing that we're going to have to do is kind of break through this 5,200 level. That's going to, be a major level, right? So I think people saw this potentially as like a head and shoulders pattern, you know, if they're trading on candlesticks. So that's going to be, you know, the two shoulders we have to break through, if you want to call it that. But really, it's just a price level. So that's why that's going to end up being kind of a major level, is there's a lot of price interaction from both sides there. It's going to be a thick level, used it as support many times, so there's going to be a lot of resting orders there, I think, for shorting, if I had to guess. I think we could even push up here and still fail, but I think that if we can at least gain above 5,200, we are primed to regain this and potentially make new highs. What do you think?
I really think that if we can gain this box here, I really like being able to gain right here. And if we're able to gain right here, we'll get all-time high. So I think this was someone laddering in shorts, not someone, but you know,
The big dogs.
the big boys laddering.
Yeah.
You're right, laddering in shorts, and this is big profit taking on those shorts. Of course, you know, that's all just, it doesn't really matter. But if we can get up to here, I think a lot of these will be start getting stopped out, and that's when we'll see all-time high.
That'll push it through.
Right.
Yeah, and that makes sense, kind of your zone. I mean, we obviously have a line there, but that's essentially was the last area to, you know, if we were going to have continuation at this time, that was the area to hold for continuation. Then we lost it and failed to regain. So of course we went down that. So suffice to say, I agree with your box as a range for the same area that we had targeted before. I think that's
right.
If we can regain that, we're almost certainly going to see a new all-time high. So I'm with you there. What are your thoughts on the small caps?
Well, you know, I think they look really good for up. They've done this stair stepping. They're really good for a little bit of a breakout here. Could even happen today or this evening even. At the same time, if you were looking to long this, and that would make perfect sense, I'd be looking to take a long down in this area because of all this price action. It's what produced the low, and so we've definitely come down. But if you keep the tops there, it's very realistic that you'd be able to regain this level and continue upward. Now I'm going to delete that, but that is a very realistic place to look for a long, in my opinion there. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you there, and that would kind of be in line with our thesis. Let me clean some of this up. About, you know, we were kind of saying the major level on this chart that needs to be regained is 2043 or somewhere in this area, right, of consolidation. That's kind of in line with that. That's also kind of the major level, like where if it failed, we could continue down for the biggest short opportunity too. So it's going to kind of be a big move either way. I think if we regain this, all that I'm looking for here is if this level gets gained definitively and held, I think we're going to make a new high above this high. And at which point, you know, we're confirming that we believe that the long trade bias is back on. So, you know, we'd be looking for longs at that point. If we fail it, and this is actually maybe a little bit inaccurate, I would say if we can close below what we would be gaining here and come back up again for a retest, a short would be potentially on the table. Maybe you want to see that move lower, but I think I think that I would want to take advantage of the opportunity up here at this level. I think this is kind of the juicy level on the chart, which we've talked about a million times, right? You know, that's the one that goes all the way back here from the previous failure that sent us down. So I'm really paying attention to that level, and I want to see what happens there and kind of make a quick decision when we get there. That's what I see.
No, absolutely. That makes sense.
What are your thoughts on gold? Anything different?
Well, I think that gold's in a really interesting place.
It just happened. We were talking about that level.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we were.
So you're seeing it lose that level right now.
That's pretty interesting. So now that we're kind of losing this zone here, which is what brought us up here. That's not a great look. So it's also losing the level here that produced the leg up, so it's the loss of the trend. Let me zoom. Sorry about that. So I would expect at least down here at 2310. But I'd be looking for continuation downward. I think this idea is playing out here, where we're breaking below the level, that same level that we've identified, and I think we'll see down. But in the overall trend, down isn't that big a deal. We could come down to 2200 and hold there, or even down to 2050 and hold there and still look really good for the overall trend up. What do you think about gold?
Yeah, I see the same thing. I think that we drew this before this even played out. I would think that, if this continues down, we're going to make a new low lower than this low, so I would expect at least kind of down here just based on this consolidation, but more likely down to this origin here. So, closer to 2220, something like that, and it probably won't just dump straight down. We could see a retest on that level again before, but this break here is kind of a, like you said, a pretty bad look. And on the weekly, that would still look really constructive. I mean, that would just be kind of retesting the high of the consolidation that broke on the way up to potentially hold and move even higher. I will say that, this obviously doesn't look great. If this gets slurped and closes back up here on that same exact time frame, this is not a fail then. That's just a hunt, a liquidity hunt. So we'll kind of have to see how that plays out over the next couple of hours into the morning. But, if we get closes down here below that area, we're looking for lower for sure. Yeah, there's not really too much else to say. Anything that happens down in this area, until we really lose, like you said, 2250, this just a retracement on the uptrend. We could, just see big reversals in either direction. So I guess maybe we could talk about the fact that I think that if we can, like you were saying, if we can regain up here 2410-ish, 15-ish, that's kind of where all the shorting happened. They slurped some of the shorts and then end up slamming it down, refilling, and kind of pushing lower. If we can break through this level, which, again, that's a big ask. I know we're quite a bit lower than that, but that's kind of the level that we need to see regained to continue making new highs. What do you think of that?
Only 80 points. But yeah, that was the bearish look there was assuming this candle prints and the next one prints down here as well. Which like you said is going to be almost 2 hours away. Anything else for gold? I
don't think so. I think we covered most of it. I mean, the Dow is pretty much the same as a lot of these other charts. I still think that we ended up slurping kind of this nice look here. So if this was the area that needed to gain to potentially start moving higher, we actually did end up getting that. So this is just kind of slurping the origin of that move. It's not exactly the most picture perfect look, but this kind of move and then starting to move back up is not unheard of before the start of a reversal. I still think that we need to close somewhere above this range, 39,100, 39,300. If we can regain these, we can start to kind of look for a definitive move back to all-time high, and potentially making a new high. Until we do that, and you could even argue up here as well, 39,700-ish. Until we do that, this could just be retracement before lower. I mean, the higher time frames, we've definitely lost something here. But this is, kind of the first start of the reversal that we would normally see on the chart. I mean, this is a pretty nice look here. This consolidation, break above, come back down and hold above that range. So this is definitely the first signs of what we want to see to continue moving higher. Until we regain this range, though, I do want to be clear, I'm still short bias on this. But if regain there would be quite a nice look for potentially taking longs up to a new high. You see anything differently?
No, I think you're exactly right. If we gain that 39,100 area, just a little above there, that's a great look. And I'd be looking for longs too.
Cool. What are your thoughts on the recent oil price action? It's been kind of consolidating around this area, but a bit of a constructive look on the lower time frames.
Yeah, I really like where it is. It was a little higher before we started recording, and I still like where it is. So specifically, the level to be looking for is definitely right there. So it could come all the way down there, and on the 4-hour, it's still looking really good for just taking out some of these entries and then going higher. This is the level that produced the low here when it didn't hold, and that is the lowest low, the highest risk to reward you could get on oil here in the next coming, I don't want to say hours, but you know what I mean, day or two. That could possibly give you a good long entry, but I really believe that it's coming up here to $86, and we'll see higher. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not. We don't have. I completely agree with your level here down here. By the way, the 81.72. We don't necessarily have to see that before moving higher.
Right.
I'm
right.
with you on thinking we're still going to end up seeing higher, but this, you're right. This is the best risk to reward on the whole chart. This being the level that produced the low, and then was the high that the high of the consolidation that was then regained, and then we held above to push higher. So this is, you could call that the origin of the reversal, if you want to kind of think about it that way. This was the first, the first area that broke above a high of the consolidation that held for a higher low after a higher high. Kind of the area that we'd want to hold. That was the first level to hold, I suppose you could say it that way, after we ended up reversing. So, it wouldn't be unrealistic to see that touched again, and that would be, people are going to say, oh, it lost the trend at that point, and that's when they pile in their orders, when everyone's stopping out and slurping up those sell orders into their big buy orders down here. I could totally see that happening. I still think that we're going to end up seeing this move up back here to 86 at some point. That is still the level to gain to continue the uptrend. But on the higher time frames, we still really haven't lost anything. As long as we can close above 86. I think we talked about this before, we don't want to see 80, 50 lost, right? That was the level that we've been kind of really trying to fight to get back toward. It closed above, and that sent us up. We want to see that level still held. We do not want to lose 80, 50. That's kind of what I see on the chart. Any last comments, Dan?
Absolutely. Nope.
Cool. What are your thoughts on the dollar?
So I really like what the dollar's doing. I really like it holding this area here, out here. And if it can, I think it will break through the stop losses that are accrued right here, and we could see higher. And that's what we need for these big breakout trades. Not endorsing breakout trades, but that's what we need to see these big, huge candles. And so I think that could happen right here. If we don't hold this area, we'll end up coming down, and if we don't hold the low here, we will fail the move, and it's likely we'll be coming back down here to 104. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I kind of, it's kind of lost the high of this consolidation that it struggled to hold there, to gain back above on the way down. And so I see, when this guy kind of got lost, it started to look a little bit shaky, wanting to maybe come back down a little bit further. And then we regained on Friday. So, we're kind of still above that area. There was a nice close back above that level and sort of above this range that we'd marked out. Still there, but we're kind of retesting the range, the high of the range. I kind of really like a look for this to immediately kind of just go, to hold here and just go in the next few days. But I kind of agree, if we can't do that, and we can't also then hold the low of the range again, I think we're going to see a bigger move, a retracement down. 104.2, 104 point, this kind of level here. that broke prior in February. I think we could see 104.7, 104.6, but I don't put too much stock in this level. I think that if we're going to push it down that far, I'm with you. They're going to retest the failure that sent us up. So probably 104.2 at that point. And if we did and we held that, it would still look fine for higher. Just looking at the chart, I think the level we don't want to lose now is kind of all the way down at 103.6, like kind of there. Really don't want to see that level lost. But I also don't imagine we're going to get there very quickly. I could see some prolonged consolidation if we end up making a move like that. We could even just end up consolidating up here if we don't move higher, but right now there's no reason to suggest we're dumping lower. I think we're going to end up moving higher. Let's go ahead and look at KRE, the banks. So this ended up, we had an idea we were either going to fail here at 47 and move lower, or we going to regain it and potentially hold the regained area for a new high. We actually ended up pushing above before even doing that. So this is a nice constructive look. I could see us pushing higher back toward 50-50, or we could end up retracing the level that was lost that we then just regained, so 47. Either look, pushing up after that would be a nice look. I still think the major level to gain on the chart is 50-50. I think if we can gain up there, we're likely to see a new high, so above the previous high at 54.50, if we want to call it that. I think that you had maybe a bit of a stronger prediction. That's kind of the first thing I want to see, but right now it looks like a regain, so we could end up seeing higher. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really want to see today's daily candle print on the banks here. If it can hold this zone at the top, I really do think it will continue up all the way to regain the tops of this swing here. I think this is exactly where it needs to hold to continue. If it doesn't, it'll come back down to at least 46 and then lower if it doesn't hold there.
Yeah, it's not going to be a good look if it can't hold there.
Right.
So cool. I mean, I pretty much agree with all that. If we lose 47 again, I think we're definitely going to make a pretty sizable new low. But that's kind of what I think about the banks. A lot of these charts are kind of in this place where they're retracing a lot of what was just lost. Certain levels that need to be regained to sort of regain uptrend are kind of still a reasonable move up from here. So this is going to be one of those weeks where we kind of just need to kind of sit and see what happens before we kind of see any trades. At least that's the way I think of it. And we can still take some nice longs on some of these charts as they're retracing higher, but I'm still kind of waiting for those major levels to get tagged and to kind of see what happens with price there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, I think that's it. Thanks again for tuning into the Trader Hub Weekly Market Review. If you like this kind of content, sub to the Hub and consider joining our Trader Hub Discord community server. You can find it using our link in the description. See you next week.
Till next time.